It's been 10 years since Syrians took to the streets to protest against the rule of President Bashar al-Assad. The uprising escalated into a full-blown conflict that killed over 500,000 people and displaced half of Syria's population. A decade on, Assad is still in power, and Syria, divided and ravaged by war, is on the verge of becoming a failed state. The United Nations estimates that more than 80% of Syrians now live under the poverty line and 60% are at risk of hunger. Journalist and activist Wafa Ali Mustafa was among those who took to the streets to demand democratic reforms in a country ruled with an iron fist by the same family for 50 years now. She explains how it felt to be part of the protests and how the so-called Syrian revolution, what kind of impact it has had on her and on her family.
Unfortunately, millions of Syrians have been detained by the Assad regime since the start of the Syrian revolution in 2011 for one reason, daring of dreaming of a free and just Syria. I mean, for that reason, I was detained, and for the same reason, my dad has been detained. No, actually, my dad has been forcibly disappeared for almost now 8 years. He was disappeared by the Syrian regime on the 2nd of July 2013, and that was the last time we heard from him. And we till this day, unfortunately, we don't even know if he's alive or not. After 10 years, and after with all this uncertainty and pain that we live in, with my father's disappearance, with us leaving our country, leaving our home, and leaving our family, we can only stick to our rightful demands. And after 10 years, I still recall the first time I went on a protest. I still recall the feeling of being among the crowd, chanting freedom, freedom for hours. This is the only demand people asked for at the beginning. And unfortunately, 10 years later, Syria is still not free, not democratic, and is still obviously a kingdom built on fear and detention. But I believe that at least I speak for myself, the only choice I have is continue to fight for a free Syria, maybe free Syria that I will not witness, I will not live, but I believe that at least someone will maybe in the future.